What's happening, everybody? And happy Sunday. This is Adi and Marcial from Stelios International. Happy double to all of the Olympiacos fans. Yesterday, Olympiacos beat Ofi pretty comfortably 2-0 to win the first double in 5 years. So very nice first title in I think 3 years as well. So a lot of great things this season, capping off a fantastic centennial season with a lot for us to talk about looking forward. But before we do all of that, of course, Martial, how are you doing today, buddy?
Well, I think I've pretty much said the same every time we did an episode since probably January. It means that I'm more than okay, more than happy. The weeks looks all the same since at least playoff started because uh, when was the last time we started the podcast saying we are disappointed? Probably Bodo away, I have to say.
Maybe. Yeah.
When you look at it, like Bodo away has to be the only game we we fucked it up this season, real bad. We had deceptions before that in the league, but we're reaching mid-May and we only have one major deception over almost a year. And so
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would
sometimes
absolutely agree with you there.
I'm trying to find like negatives here and there because this is the life of a football fan, but it has been very difficult to find negatives this season.
And it's a stark contrast to how some previous seasons have been, where we were really struggling to get through, not wanting to do shows, that kind of thing. I still remember those like it was yesterday. The Frankfurt, oh my God, I don't even want to relive those memories, but it's crazy to believe that so much has changed in a relatively quick period of time. But we're going to touch on all that in a second. For those of you that are tuning in, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check in for those of you that are tuning in, whether it's Facebook, whether it's X, whether it's YouTube. Let us know. We love to see where you guys are commenting from. Already a few dozen of you jumping in here. And if really quickly while we're talking about it, give us a like. Every engagement helps us grow the red and white community. Like I said, over a few dozen of you have already joined in. We only have 10 likes so far. So hit that like button. It costs you nothing, but it means everything to us. And if you're tuning in for the first time, consider subscribing. If you like the content here, we do a lot of great stuff, analysis for, of course, the signings coming in. If you're tuning in on X or Facebook even, we suggest that you guys come in, join the YouTube. It's easier to follow along and engage with us. So great stuff there. Patreon, you can also support us there for $1 a month. You can join the WhatsApp group, the infamous WhatsApp group where we share information. And of course, there's banter plus lots of discussion about your favorite team, Olympiacos. Patrons also get access to some other content as well. If you're a content tier patron or one of the hot seat patrons, we're going to be doing a couple of things this month. First, the patrons are going to get to grill me on the scouting reports last year. I'm going to be setting that up this week. So for those of you, we're going to be kind of reviewing the key points of the scouting reports, see where I hit, see where I miss. And then I believe I'll be doing an analysis of the other teams, kind of where each of our rivals are set up going into next season, so we can talk more about where the opportunities are to really take advantage and recreate a new dynasty here. So check all of that out and check everything out on Patreon.com/Stelios7 International if you would like to support us further. Now, Marcial, the win yesterday, 2-0. We secured the double, our anniversary season. Before we kind of talk about the game, before we kind of talk about the future, let's take a step back into the past. Now, if you're following along, guys, we put up a poll, and the question is, was this season a success? Was it a success to you? There's different opinions on it, and there's 3 different answers: yes, no, and there's one that's caveated with, things we've heard from people in the past, whether it's been on socials or our Patreon WhatsApp group. Yes, it domestically, no Europe, but tell us. Leave a comment. Doesn't matter. Was this season a success to you? Now, Martial, I'm going to pose the same question to you. Was this
Yes. Sorry.
a success to you?
Yeah, the answer is clearly yes, because I think for me the main goal of the season was to transition between Conference League football back into Europa League football. And if you look back at the past, we struggled a lot of for a lot of years to be a decent Europa League team when we were due to play that competition. I'm not going to talk about the season in which we lost to Nantes twice, to Karabakh, but even the seasons before, I don't recall the club topping an Europa League group stage before that. So yeah, the group stage of Europa League this season is one of the best European campaign we've had uh, in the modern era, I would say. It's true that we were eliminated by Bodo, and it hurts because on paper it looked like a perfect opportunity to at least reach quarterfinals. But that being said, the only thing that frustrated me with Martins back in the day is how many times we bottle the Greek Cup, because it's a competition that means almost nothing. Like no one cares about the Greek Cup outside of Greece. I don't think players care that much about the Greek Cup when they come to Olympiacos, but you still have to win it. And we lost it multiple times. I remember the final against Garcia when Martin lost that cup. I remember when we were eliminated by Lamia. I remember how many times we fumbled it. And the fact that we won the Greek Cup this season, eliminating AEK Panathinaikos, it's a major success because this is how you make the domination bigger in the league. Because if Panathinaikos, AEK, or PAOK want to reach our level right now, they will need to uh, I don't know they need to solve multiple things at the same time. This is what makes the difference between a double and just winning the league, in my opinion.
You're absolutely right, Martial. And to that point, before I kind of go back to what our thoughts were in August, and I'm going to elaborate on this in the Patreon video for those of you that want to be content tier members. I'm going to do a whole video analyzing the other teams, but Ike in particular, and Balk, we can say, made huge mistakes not capitalizing on the misfortunes of Olympiacos, right? Because now they have to play catch up. We have the most stable roster. We are the only club in the top five, we'll include Addis as well, who have less than half a dozen contracts to worry about. We had two expiring contracts. You already saw Biancon has renewed until 2027, and Danny Garcia is expected to renew for 1 year. We know that Luis Palma is not coming back. We know that Marco Stamenic is not coming back. Andre Horta and David Carmo, kind of still up in the air, but for the moment, both of them are going back. Unclear if they're returning on loan. So we really only have two players that we're not sure of whether they're coming back or not. Unlike last year when it was 18 players, we didn't know what was going to happen. Panathinaikos has an aging squad. Balk, a lot of expiring and contracts and loans. Likewise with Panathinaikos. Ike, disaster central. Ike has contracts renewing. They have unhappy players. It's going to be a mess over there. And not only do these teams now have to recover from those mistakes and manage this really, really tricky contract situation, but they have to do it while also knowing Olympiacos is guaranteed to be bringing in at least 30 million euros of prize money, even if we do not win a single game in Champions League. So there's a lot that they are going to have to compensate for. They not only have to build great teams, but they also have to deal with the fact that Olympiacos is going to get a cash prize guaranteed that could set us up for the next 5 years. And they have to deal with that. Ike and Balk in particular, they screwed up. They could have done more when they won the titles, each one of them, to further what they had done so far in Greece. They did not. Ike crumbled in a big way. Balk, Savidis, for whatever reasons, refused to spend more money, refused to invest further. He just sold assets. So now they're in a deeper hole, and it's going to be much worse for them in that regard. So this is a big opportunity for us to create the new dynasty. Whether we sell players like Babis Kostoulas or Mouzakitis or Tzolakis or not, we have a huge opportunity here to reinvest to what I believe is the next dynasty.
Yeah, also the major difference I see is that when I think when Cordon was appointed, the situation of Olympiacos was probably even worse than the one AEK has right now, because we had more players under contract, more contracts ending.
Yep.
We had to find new coach. We had qualifiers, and the major difference is that the work Cordon has done when he came to the club, I think can't be done by anyone else in Greece right now. I don't trust
Right.
Ribalta to rebuild AEK within 2 months because he's gonna make mistakes. It doesn't knows the market as well as Cordon did. So and Panathinaikos, they have to sell to buy. It's a situation we probably faced 2 years ago when we had to sell Ryabchuk.
Yep.
But I think Ryabchuk was less important to the club compared to Ioannidis to Panathinaikos, in my opinion. So yeah, I would not want to be in either Panathinaikos or AEK situation. PAOK look
No.
more sustainable, but they don't spend.
Nope. And for everybody that was telling us that FFP didn't exist because they saw how much money Panathinaikos was spending, because they saw the wage bill that ICE had, all of a sudden, all of those people are quiet. Now that Panathinaikos has some PSR issues, they have to sell because they invested a lot of money. They haven't sold any players in 3 years, and they can't make any transfers until they do so. Everybody that got upset with us for talking about the FFP issues this past summer when we sold like 2 players for 5 million and we only spent 14 million in transfer fees. I guess FFP is real after all, Martial. I guess it's real after all. And now you're seeing when the consequences come in. We are now positioned very well to have a great summer and bring in just a handful of, we don't need a lot. We just need a handful, depending on who goes and who stays. We're in a great position, and this is fantastic for the club. It's going to be great for Olympiacos moving forward, assuming we do the proper business and assuming that we continue to build on the work that's been done with the academy. We have more stars coming up, and that we properly replace anybody that does go, whether it's Babis Kostoulas, whether it's Mouzakitis, whether it's Tzolakis, Kaabi, Roman Yaremchuk, doesn't matter. Whoever goes, Heze, doesn't matter. We just need to make sure that we're really smart about who we replace them with and then continue the pipeline of youth that's been created and established that we're now seeing the fruits of this year, last year, and now in the coming years.
Yeah, you talk about the academy, and I think uh, when the club struggles, the I don't know to solve the struggle, you always need academy in football. This
Yes.
is why basically the major difference I see between MendiBall and Pedro Martin's success is it's visible that MendiBall one is more sustainable because
Yep.
uh, it's not only the academy, but it's the age of the player that he used. Also, he was probably the only coach able to activate pretty much the whole squad. The only player for me that weren't activated were Oliveira, Willian, and maybe Stamenic. Even if Stamenic had like 2, 3 good situation here and
Right.
there, but out of like 30 players, it's not something that can be done by any coach.
No, I agree with you there. So a lot of great things, and another thing that is going to be a major woe to our rivals outside of Bauk, and even they don't have as many interesting talents as we have coming up in the academy right now. I and Panathinaikos have almost nobody. In fact, they have let go of talents that are now becoming very interesting, got opportunities elsewhere, and we're picking them up. The most recent is the kid we just signed from Atromitos. He just turned 20 years old, the attacking midfielder, Kaloskamis. And he's another one. He was a Panathinaikos Academy product. They, I guess, didn't believe he could come of anything. He went to Atromitos. He's played about 800 minutes this year, has looked very good in the time he's played for Atromitos, all things considered. And we just picked him up. He'll be another young option. The two wonder kids that are in the academy now as well. No other team, even Balk, does not have that. And Balk has had probably one of the best academies over the course of the last 8-9 years, thanks to Christos Akas, who set everything back up for them back in the day. And even they aren't seeing the number of amazing talents right now as we are. Most of their generation seems to be coming up, and after Kostoulas, I don't really know what else they have. They don't seem to have a lot of major names in the pipeline. We've got major names coming up all over the place. People are focusing on Kostoulas, Mouzakitis. We still have Pneumonidis. We have Liatsikoras, Plionis, the two Eric Hamza, and I'm forgetting the other one already, Kolokotroni. So we have all of these names that are still in the pipeline with a couple years to go before they see even touch first team football. So, man, it is on all fronts. It is a really bad sign for our rivals, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, yeah. You said it all. The part of me want to be in the summer preparation because last season, if you remember, we were all excited with the preseason because of the Youth League title and the fact that we weren't due to play qualifiers. And this season, it's the next step. We already have the core of the team. Some youngsters have 1 year more of experience, and some I just want to be in the summer to see the first friendlies, to see like probably early signings, stuff like that. I don't want to be too enthusiastic because it's football, and you are not allowed to be too enthusiastic in this sport because bad things can happen. You can't take anything for granted, but yeah, I'm really curious to see also the integration of the player you mentioned, like the Atromitos guy. I think Korokotroni is too young to play for the first team, but
Yes.
I don't know, even the B team project, if it's done properly, we have the recipe of a club that can establish himself into the category of sustainable club you see every year in Europe. Like I know Salzburg won't play Europe next season, but we can be a club like that. We can have a nice structure, win the league every year, play Europe every year, and have player like assets you can sell to renew the team and stuff like it. This is how we're gonna annihilate the competition in Greece.
Yep. I absolutely agree with you there, Martial.
But it's still fragile, it's football.
Yep. You're 100% right. Now, going back to our original talking point before we kind of diverged onto this, talking about the situation, the rivals, and everything like that. Let's go back to August when we were talking about the season and what our expectations were. We had a very weird year before winning the Conference League. Diego Martinez. Things started off well. Then we weren't doing so well. We get embarrassed in Europe. We had the Panathinaikos fiasco. Carvajal comes in, and things kind of go from bad to worse. The football went from being hyper offensive but not scoring to just awful. And we ended up losing the cup, the round of 16 to Panathinaikos in the cup, and it was miserable. Then MendiBall comes in. We had some better results in the playoffs. We looked better in some ways, but we still couldn't do more than a third place finish in the playoffs. And then we ended up winning the Conference League, which was the thing that we held our hat on. We won the Youth League because of Silaidopoulos and the U19. So in August, after some signings, even I think believe this was right before we signed Willian as well, we talked about what is the goal this season. And we all agreed. First and foremost, the priority is in the 100-year anniversary, we have to win the league. We had not won the league in 2 straight seasons before this, and the last time that Olympiacos went 3 seasons without winning a title was the Stone Years, quote unquote, the Petrina Chronia, as we say. So it was unacceptable for us not to win the title. That was the goal. Then we talked about Europe, and all of us had a similar sentiment. We all believed that because this club had routinely been round of 16, that's where Martins left off in his most successful season. Even after that, round of 16, Europa League seemed to be what our ceiling was. So if we could get back to that, that was the expectation, and that would be success. We got back to where we were, and then we can build from there. In this season, we didn't just get to the round of 16. 2 injuries kept us from maybe overturning a deficit against Bodo. But we finished in the top 8. You talked about that briefly already. We finished in the top 8 in Europa League against some teams, a lot of teams with which had bigger budgets than we did. And we beat some pretty big teams too. Then the cup, I know for me, I didn't care whatever we did. That was my least priority. Of course, it's nice to win, but I had said that for me it was the league, and then I wanted round of 16 Europe. If we didn't win the cup, it wouldn't upset me. But then we won the cup, and I didn't care. So for me, if we're looking at what our expectation was in August, regardless of whether you think the result against Bodo Glimt was disappointing in and of itself, what our expectations were in August, we met and or exceeded them. Getting top 8 in the Europa League phase was huge. None of us really expected that. For us, it was get to the knockouts. That's the expectation. If you don't, it's disappointing. Top 8, we said we should be fighting for that, but it's not the expectation. And we did it. We got into the top 8. We went right to the round of 16. Ayub Kaabi, Kostoulas, and Retos, if they're healthy for that, I'm convinced we go past that. But that's neither here nor there. So in that respect, based on what our expectations were, Martial, there is no doubt in my mind that this is a success. This season was a success in Olympiacos reaching the next stage or the next goal ever since MendiBall arrived.
And the top 8 of Europa League, in my opinion, is how can I say that? It's globally, it's way bigger than the season in which we ended up eliminating Arsenal, because the Arsenal game belongs to a category of game that it's the top. But if you look at the path, it was a points wise, it was a miserable Champions League campaign, and the top 8 of Europa League with the best defense is the biggest thing Olympiacos has done in Europe outside the Conference League since the modern era.
And most clean sheets. Don't forget, Tzolakis had the most clean sheets, and he had one of the highest goals prevented. Actually, sorry, the highest goals prevented of any goalkeeper in the Europa League. So he had an outstanding season. So to say that, it's like, come on, guys, we've never done this.
If you take some distance from that, I'm not someone that can predict the future, but I'm sure that if you look at the core of the player that won Conference League, then went on to play Europa League just to finish with the best defense into the top 8, those players on paper will be better in Champions League than a lot of players we could sign, or compared to a lot of players we will face in better club on papers. This is why I'm not very scared about Champions League, because with the new formula, you are not facing twice the same team. So there isn't any group logic. It's one game, one game, one game.
That's right.
I think the league title and the Greek Cup, and the fact we won the Greek Cup eliminating AEK like that, eliminating Panathinaikos, we lost just once in the playoff. Those games for me are what came out of the Europa League. And Bodo's game is something we missed because it was a nice way to have a deeper European run. But I think with the injuries we had, it wasn't possible. And the way we finished the league is going to be the boost we needed for the Champions League. A lot of players, you mentioned Tzolakis. Tzolakis alone, going from a starter in Conference League into probably the best keeper in Europa League group phase, into Champions League as a starter, is something we could not have dreamed of. Like MendiBall, when he signed, he maximized every single output he could have. Even if he lost the league the first season, and I've criticized the guy for that, but probably we needed to lose that league, specific league, to go deeper in the Conference League. But the improvement some players had mentally and in terms of football is gonna pay off next season. I'm sure of that, because if you look at the Champions League this season with the new formula, any club that was performing and wasn't expecting at that level was because they had a nice team, properly bred team with fit player with confidence, and they did nice things in the league, like Brest, for example, in France. This is what we're gonna be next season, in my opinion.
I'm with you. A couple of comments here, Martial. First from Yanis Spinos. Top 8 only means something as long as you capitalize on it. And we did not. I disagree with that comment. Finishing top 8 was something that we knew was going to be difficult, and we did it. Whether or not the Bodo Glimt debacle was disappointing in and of itself is a different thing. But by us finishing in top 8, it proved that this team, as a team with all of the flaws everybody said that it had, was one of the best teams in the Europa League. And that told us that this team was good enough for the next thing. It told us that this team had what it took to compete at the next level of competition. Look, the Bodo Glimt situation in that game is a disappointment in and of itself for various reasons. But finishing top 8, it still tells us something. And it still told everybody something, for those, especially those that didn't believe this team improved from last season, which it did. There are pieces that we're still missing, and there are some pieces we really need for next season. But I disagree that top 8 only means something if you won the round of 16. I disagree with that entirely. But Martial, did you have an opinion on that comment?
It depends on what people means with capitalize, because if it's in terms of trophy, yes, for sure we did not win the Europa League because I don't think it was possible, for one reason being the amount of injuries we've had. We are not a club that can deal with so many injuries at the same times with key players. And the way we lost a deeper run in Europa League is the exact way we did one in Conference League the year before. Every little bit of luck that we had last season were on the negative side against Bodo Glimt, because in Karaiskakis we probably could have won 3-0, 4-0 if we converted the first situation we had that night, and if we did not concede that goal, the first one. But on top of that, we did capitalize because a lot of players got more experience through that. Kostoulas, Mouzakitis, of course, the backbone of the defense with Tzolakis, Rechos. Now, even guys like Rodinei. Look at Rodinei. Did it play that good in Europa League before? No.
Nope.
And we needed that we needed to breathe back confidence in Europa League to pretend to even be decent in Champions League. We needed to go step by step, and at the end of it, probably winning Conference League came too early, but we needed to win it and then move on to Europa League. But I don't think we could have done more than we did. even if Bodo will be a major frustration, but
Of
it's
course.
not like Wolverhampton, in my opinion. It's not the same frustration.
The next question is from Hectoras here. What is a good finish in the Champions League? So, taking what you just said into account, Martial, I believe that for us next season, right? There's expectation, and then what is like, man, this was great. We exceeded expectations. This is a success. Top 24, getting to the knockout round of the modern Champions League with the amount of money that's in Champions League and the teams that are in it. For me, if we get past the round of 24, or if we get into the top 24, make it to the knockouts, that's success. And that's what we should be focusing on. It will not be easy. But you get into the top 24, successful European season in my book, whether we win or lose the round of 32. If we find a way to get to the round of 16, which is the furthest we've ever gone in Champions League before, we haven't been to the round of 16 in, I think now it's almost 10 years, 2016, 2017. If I'm not mistaken, Martial, was when we were in the round of 16 last. Or was it 2015, 2016? I'm now starting to lose track. Anyway, that round of 16, Manchester United, that was the last time we were in the round of 16 for Champions League. So if we got to that point, then the season itself is beyond anything we hoped, in my opinion. For me, the goal, just make it to the knockouts. Top 24, European success for Champions League. And then we build on that next season. You still have to win the title. You still have to win the title in Greece next season. But if you can get top 24 in the Champions League phase, you've had yourself a successful Champions League season.
Also, I think that it was probably the first season for Olympiacos in which the goal wasn't only the season itself, but the next ones. Because I know that Olympiacos isn't the club in which you can really think about the future, because everything is so unstable, fragile. You don't know if the player is going to be there next season. But this specific season, we almost knew the plan last summer. We knew that if we won if we win the Super League, we had strong chances to go into Champions League. And we knew also that we had some youngsters starting to play with Kostoulas, Mouzakitis, for example. And we knew that probably the season after would be the best one, if that makes sense. It doesn't mean that Europa League meant nothing this season, but I saw a comment about the moment after Bodo Glimt game, and I totally agree on that. Like when we were eliminated by Bodo, the main the main I don't know the main feeling for me was that okay, it sucks. It's a major disappointment because we might not have a team like that ever again into Europa
Yeah.
League reality. That is something that probably we won't have again. But still, we have a backbone of a team. We have a structure, and it's gonna play Champions League next season. And now the club with MendiBall seems more ready to know what the team needs to be efficient in Champions League. And it's probably the first time, because even with Martins, you knew that players like Valbuena, like El Arabi, like I don't know, even Tzolakis, all those
Right.
players, they were close to the end. They were closer to the end than to the beginning of something.
Yep.
And when you see the lineup of the Greek Cup, you had Tzolakis to that, and look at this team and tell me that in Champions League, I've seen worse team than that collecting points, and it's without signings. So we will have signings. I know that.
Of course. And another thing to think about, Martial, too. I mean, what we've always said, like the team always needs a really good goalkeeper, and you've said it multiple times, a really good goalkeeper and really good striker. Well, guess what? We have the best striking duo in Greece, period. El Kaabi did something that I did not really think was possible. I remember at the end of last season, he had 36 goal contributions, 33 goals and 3 assists in all competitions. Played something like almost 3,700 minutes. And I said to myself, we signed him to the record deal. He had I believe he still has right now the highest salary on the team. And I said, it's worth it. Even though I don't think he can redo the numbers from last season, he gets you 25 goal contributions, whether it's 20 goals, 5 assists, or whatever. He gets you more than 20 goals. It's still money well spent. You are paying for some stability in goal scoring. He not only gave us that, Martial, he still had 27 goals and 7 assists. He ended the season with only 2 less goal contributions than last season overall. And this, by the way, is with like a slightly worse efficiency, whether it's shot accuracy, whether it's goal conversion than last year. And he's played almost 400 less minutes, which is insane. And then you look at Roman Yaremchuk, who's played he has not played 1,000 minutes total this season. And yet per 90 minutes, he's one of the best strikers we have ever had. You guys got a little bit of a sneak peek of a little radar chart that I had made for the two players. We put it on socials. But look at this. This is Greece. This is comparing Roman Yaremchuk and Ayub El Kaabi in Greece. Now, okay, these guys aren't on the ball a lot. They're not distributing the ball a lot. That's not what Mendy wants the strikers to do. They're not taking players on 1v1. They're not even carrying the ball forward a lot. But look at the end product. El Kaabi and Roman Yaremchuk per 90, number 1, number 2 goals. And this is just in the Super League, by the way. Look at the touch volume in the box. And then look at the XGXA. All of this is sustainable. They're not just scoring goals hyper efficiency like Abdallah Sima from Brest, where he's having a monstrous season, scoring a lot of goals, but in all actuality, the number of opportunities and the types of opportunities are unchanged. Both El Kaabi and Roman Yaremchuk are getting opportunities. They're making opportunities. They get in great scoring positions. Roman Yaremchuk in particular provides a lot of great balls, and El Kaabi has done that more so this year than last year. So even with Ayub El Kaabi's small regression in what he did in the second half of last season, he is still the best thing we've seen in Greece and in the Europa League. It's crazy. It's crazy. I didn't think it was possible. I really didn't think it was possible for El Kaabi to replicate what he did this season. But mark my words, and I'm saying this right now, maybe it's a hot take, maybe it's not. If El Kaabi played the extra 380 minutes that he had last season right now, I guarantee you he beats 36 goal contributions. I guarantee you he gets to 30 goals, and I guarantee you he outdoes what he did last season. And that's one of the most absurd things I feel like I can say. Next year, with El Kaabi and Yaremchuk, how they ended the season, I feel like I'm way more confident that they can both reproduce what we've seen this year. More confident than I was for that, thinking El Kaabi could even get close to that this year. The fact that El Kaabi did it for 2 straight seasons and he doesn't show sign of slowing down, I'm super confident. Now, there is a small caveat, Martial. Remember, Youssef El Arabi in his first 2 seasons with us, with Pedro Martins, he also had his first season was like 28 goals, 7 assists. And I think his second season was either the exact same or it was like 27 goals, 8 assists, something like that. But after that second season, when he got the record deal, the following seasons when the drop-off happened. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe El Kaabi has a drop-off. But he doesn't show sign of slowing down. He presses as hard as he did last season. He did have that injury, but then coming back from that injury, El Kaabi still was scoring goals. He was running all over the place. You know, my final thought on that is also El Kaabi makes those 3 penalties he missed. He's at 30 goals in those penalties. Oh, and by the way, guys, this goal statistic here, the goals per 90 and the XG, XJ per 90, This is non-penalty, all of this. So before some of you think penalties have anything to do with this, this isn't Fotis Ioannidis. This is Ayoub El Kaabi. This is all non-penalty goal production.
Uh, I have I have three things to say. The first one is I don't even uh, care about the potential money it's gonna cost to Olympiacos. But as long as we don't have any crazy offer for El Kaabi, and when I say crazy offer is like 10 million from Saudi Arabia, for example, a football club should never get rid of a striker that can score goals. I know that is I know that is over 30 years old, but it doesn't seem that the guy is nearing the end of of his career. It's the opposite of that. It's the opposite of that. And if I was the one to decide, I would even renew El Kaabi right now for one more year, like 2 years, because it's a guy that is going to score goal at least in Greece until 35, 36 easily. He
Yep.
hasn't been burned by the football globally because he started quite late in his career, at least in Europe. So there is no need at all to think about what El Kaabi costs to Olympiacos. And it leads to the second point, which is I've said that before, but we shouldn't think about the wage a player gets when he plays for Olympiacos, because that was the logic that almost led to Yaremchuk leaving the club in January, because the guy has a massive salary and costed us quite a big fee for our backup striker. But it's the
Yep.
difference between Olympiacos and the rest. It doesn't matter how much Yaremchuk costs. What matters is what he can do on the field. And at the end of it, with MendiBall, any player with quality will deliver at some point. Either it's Velde that costed almost 5 million. He ended up scoring key goals in the cup, we should not forget, against Galitea. Also, he finished the playoff with goals against Ajax and PAOK. He had some moments. I'm not going to say he was the best player of the season, it would be
Right.
lying. But the thing is, we are not content. We are not the one that pays the bill. We are just fans. And at the end of it, uh, the more quality the roster have, the biggest the wage bill will be. And quality costs money. And my point is, we should not be thinking about how this player got a massive salary, because those were the talks when El Kaabi renewed, if you
Yes.
remember. Oh, it's gonna
Yes.
cost 2 million per season. It's too much. It's too expensive. But
2.75 million, almost 3 million a season wage.
yeah, but
Net.
I can't name a club that belongs to the category of Olympiacos in terms of club that has a striker like El Kaabi. Turkish club never found the equivalent of El Kaabi. Red Star never found the equivalent of El Kaabi. Uh, I don't know, Swiss club, Scottish clubs, all those clubs like from lower leagues in Europe never found someone like Al Kaabi. We're talking about someone that is the Conference League top scorer of last season and the Europa League one of this season. And it could have been like, what if Al Kaabi did not get injured against Bodo? Let's say he scores there in Norway. We lose 3-1, he scores one. He scores two in Greece. Let's say we progress. Like it would have been 2 seasons over 10 goals in Europe.
Yes.
It's the equivalent of having like uh, I don't want to draw a comparison, but it has no price. It has no fucking price to have El Kaabi in your team.
Yep. And by the way, Ayoub El Kaabi has scored in every single final he has been in, the Conference League final and the Greek Cup final.
He's the
So
biggest
yes,
striker of Olympiacos. history.
Yes, and I was going to comment. I put up a comment from Lel here. He says, "I know I will get hate, but El Kaabi is the best player that Olympiacos has gotten in the last 10 years. When he has the position to shoot, he'll do it, and he scores, and he is the reason of our success in Europe. For sure, I believe Ayub El Kaabi at this point is arguably the best striker in Olympiacos history. The number of goal contributions he has, the rate at which he scores, and the occasions with which he has scored. I don't believe that is something that is too crazy for us to say. Uh, I
No.
saw this just now from Hectoras. He said, "So Fotis Ioannidis is in the graph. We just can't see because of the bar because it's too low." That kills me. That absolutely kills me.
But
But
also,
go ahead,
let's
Marcel.
remember, I'm gonna end with that on El Kaabi because a striker like El Kaabi is the only thing in football that leads to Tzolakis being that important for Olympiacos. Because
Yeah,
the difference between Tzolakis with and without El Kaabi is that you don't win Conference League, so you don't get the credit you deserve. Retsos doesn't get to play the final we played against Fiorentina. Heze does not get to have credit like he did because he was running everywhere. And if the striker does not convert, you're running everywhere for nothing. Uh, Fortunis does not get to leave Olympiacos with an European trophy. El Kaabi is the reason why 90% of the talks we've had last season and this season exist.
yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say about El Kaabi is, last summer we talked a lot about how giving the money to El Kaabi meant we lost Podence because we didn't have the extra money to offer him when Podence's asks changed. And I'm going to tell you this, Martial, and a lot of people might disagree with me. I would still make the same decision. Knowing giving El Kaabi that money means we lose Podence, I would still give Ayub El Kaabi the money every day of the week
Yeah.
because of what this guy has done for us.
The
And
only
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead, Marcel. Sorry.
the third point I was going to mention about the strikers is the only negative thing I will have this season is understanding or accepting the fact that Yaremchuk did not start uh, against Bodo at home. Because just look at, I don't recall if it was, no, it wasn't in the goal he scored, but I do recall a situation in the Greek Cup final when he was uh, like that with the defender, and the defender can't move against Yaremchuk because he is the one that knows how to play with the body, also has the technique to use his body. And if you do recall the fact that when he came in against Bodo Glimt, defenders of Bodo Glimt weren't able to even jump for headers. And I
Right.
think that's the only big mistake MendiBall did with Olympiacos, because there is no way, like the amount of situation we would have had against Bodo Glimt with Yaremchuk starting would have been staggering. Because Yaremchuk is the perfect profile when you don't have El Kaabi, of course, to break Bodo Glimt defense, which is very mid, by the way. But we can't rewrite history. But that's the only. Every coach has negatives at the end of it. And if Mandeliba biggest negative is not starting Yaremchuk, then so be it.
Exactly. And Martial, one other comment before we begin to wrap things up here. We're going on about 50 minutes at the moment. I did also just want to make a comment about Tzolakis. Almost everybody we talked to, and we brought this up earlier in the show, will tell you that you could have a great system, great team, great setup, but really the most important things for you to have if you want success in Europe, especially, you need to have a great striker and you need to have a great goalkeeper. We were so lucky to have both. We spent a lot of time talking about El Kaabi, but we really cannot forget to talk about Kostas Tzolakis. I mean, both of these players will be, I am sure, candidates for MVP of the season. Tzolakis is a player that kept us in so many games that maybe in other seasons with other goalkeepers we would have lost. it is really amazing for us to have the best in Greece at both of these positions. I can't let this show end without at least showing some love to Kostas Tzolakis in both of those respects. He's been at the top of so many charts this season for Europe, for the world, and we have to recognize that. El Arabi told you and Lambro when you guys spoke to him last season that for him, the decision, forget MendiBall, the decision that changed the course of Olympiacos' European history in the Conference League that year was MendiBall's decision to start Tzolakis. That's what he said. And ever since then, we have seen a team that not only has been a great defense in stopping a lot of great attacks against us, but when we do concede those attacks, Tzolakis has been incredible. His reflexes are absurd, and his weaknesses diminish literally every month. We see less of those weaknesses. He has improved so much in his ball playing ability. He's not timid anymore. And really, the last weakness in his game is from those mid range shots, right about at the edge of the penalty box when people target, especially his left side. He doesn't have many of those weaknesses left. I mean, he is on his way to being a world class goalkeeper. And I just want to make sure that we give a proper shout out to Tzolakis because he deserves it. And I know for a fact that he will be one of the candidates for MVP of the season. And I cannot wait for that. Guys, don't forget to look out because we will be getting all of that set up soon for the annual 307 International Awards show. Really excited for that, Martial. Now, guys, we also put up a poll. I just put up a poll for man of the match because we're going to get ready and start to close up. Martial, as far as the success of the season, 75% seem to agree with us that it was a success. 25% said domestically, yes, but Europe, no. So the vast majority of people seem to agree with us there. Now, Martial, we didn't talk about the game for Ofi, but do you have any final comments before we talk about man of the match and coach's grade very briefly?
No, it was a very solid game from the team. I would like to highlight the defensive game of Costinha in defense because he was playing against Nurse, the winger that was basically the biggest offensive threat of Ofi. And I think that I had a very good game. And I wanted to highlight that because guys like Costinha is the reason I'm very optimistic for next season. I know that we didn't pass Bodo, but the season Costinha had, guys like Costinha had, is the concretization of the top eight. And it's part of the concretization of the Conference League, but it's also the concretization of the top eight in Europa League. And that every player is so focused in this team that is almost too good to be true. So yeah, I really enjoyed that game because we were in control a part of 2-3 situation for Ofi from minute 1 to the last. So deserved victory, and we did the job perfectly.
Who was your man of the match? Probably the same as mine.
It's gonna be Kaabi, goal and assist. I think the assist is even better than the goal.
I think so too.
He wasn't known to be a very good counter guy, like the one passing. I mean, not the one finishing, but when he had to lead the counter, it's not really this type of striker. But this one was perfectly played, and seeing Yaremchuk and Kaabi celebrating the goal like that means a lot because it means that Yaremchuk reached that level because he knew Kaabi was like insane, and even to have minutes, you have to be super prepared and good. And Kaabi knew that the guy behind him is just the most professional player you can expect to have.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a win-win situation.
So what's your coach's grade?
Well, A, because lineup was good, subs were good, nothing to complain about.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I think this game, honestly, watching this Greek Cup final was really just the culmination of what we've seen with MendiBall football all year. I mean, the goal for MendiBall was to nick in an early goal if possible, and then force Ofi to play us the way we wanted. Clog the midfield, force them to play balls into the midfield a lot. Heze cleaned up a lot. Danny Garcia cleaned up a lot. We smothered Ofi. And even when they could progress into the final third, they could do nothing with it. They couldn't get numbers forward. There were 2 counters. I remember it was like, oh, okay, there's some danger here, but we always got numbers back. We smothered them. And it didn't feel like they had a chance. You could tell Ofi was working on set pieces. They had a couple of corners that they got a header or two off that went just outside of the post, but I really think this went exactly to plan for MendiBall. Ayoub Kaabi for sure, my man of the match as well. Goal and assist, hard not to give it. Shout to I thought Gelson Martins had a good game though. Rodinei had a pretty good game, and of course Yaremchuk. And coach is great as an A. I like the setup. I was a little bit surprised with Heze. I knew Danny Garcia would start, but I expected him to start next to Mouzakitis. I didn't expect him to start next to Heze. That was really the only surprise for me. But it worked out. I mean, we choked out Ofi. It wasn't maybe the prettiest game, but it was effective, and that's all we can ask for. We came home with the double, and that is about it. So the audience, for as quickly as we put the poll up, 90% in agreement that it was Ayoub Kaabi is the man of the match, with 10% going to Santiago Heze. Martial, any final comments before we go ahead and wrap up here?
Well, not so much to say. Probably gonna say that Kabila had a wonderful goal, a wonderful goal last night with Lille. I wasn't pleased that much when he signed at first, but the guy is just a super professional, despite the look he has that doesn't appear to be the one of a professional guy, but it's gonna fit quite well in what MendiBall wants. And when it comes to a player from the early century, I haven't been thinking about it recently, but I think it's because the team works so well right now that you don't have the luxury to even think about the shit player we used to have from time to time.
For the audio listeners, the comment brought on here by Hectoras saying, first time Martial doesn't bring up a player from the 2000s, Bodo Ute Manato, who his mother doesn't even know who he is. So Martial, first for Martial. And that's how you know the times are good. When Martial's not reminiscing about or talking about players of the past, that's how you know things are doing very well. Well, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Oh, Martial, go ahead, buddy.
Speaking of those anecdotes, I remember sometime, I don't know if people remember that, when basically Ergotilis was the B team of Olympiacos. I remember, if you do remember the Serbian goalkeeper Stojkovic, if you remember that guy.
I do.
It came on the Serbian press saying like he signed with Olympiacos, and at the end, I think he signed with us, but went on to play for Nottingham. Like the Nottingham before Marinakis was officialized. And I always had a question I will ask to the people listening or watching this show, that Abdul and Jebro, both of them went to Nottingham in the past. And I wonder if Marinakis was already involved in the club before he bought the club.
Even back then.
It's a question I will ask to the players if I have the chance to one day.
That would actually be very interesting, because it wouldn't surprise me, man. A lot of these talks, they start years in advance as small discussions, and then they build up. So that wouldn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form, to be honest with you. Guys, thank you again for tuning in. It was a great year. 2024, the 2024-25 season was an amazing year for Olympiacos. So much for us to look forward to. The transfer season, I mean, June isn't even here yet, and it's been all over the place. Everybody knows we have Remy Cabella, who is going to be signing, who is coming, and we're expecting that to be official soon. The scouting report for him is done. It's available on Patreon. So if you join Patreon, you'll have access to all of those scouting reports. So check out patreon.com/307international. Merch as well. A lot of great stuff, guys. There's a giveaway on Instagram. For those of you that are not on Instagram, go check it out. Follow the directions. More giveaways are coming. So a lot of great stuff here. We also just recently hit 15,000 on Instagram. That was last Sunday. We're almost about a third of the way to 16,000 now that quickly. So things are really kicking off on all cylinders for us. But again, don't forget to check out socials. We will be starting the voting soon for the award show, the annual award show. So when you see those posts, don't forget to submit your vote so that we can present and figure out who everybody thinks the MVP should be. We do all of them. Best Greek player, most improved, MVP, best goal of the season. We do podcast moment of the season. That's not really an award. That's more just a memory thing. And then, of course, everybody's favorite coat of the season. So that one, I don't think it's going to be too hard for this season. But anyway, there's always a Ruben Vinagre that pops up. Even years later, people still bring that guy up. So thank you guys again for tuning in. This is Theros International, by the fans, for the fans. For those of you that are on audio, if you're not liking and subscribing, give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening. We appreciate it and it helps us find more and more Red and White fans. So thank you guys, and we'll see you all.